Karan Ashley. You're watching the BOP, the Blurred Official Podcast. We are here and we are so excited that you have joined us. Oh my gosh. Guys, today we have a special guest. Hilton George. Hilton George is in the house. How you doing, Hilton? How is life? I'll get to our special guest in just a second.
Oh man, look, we're just getting done with this snowed in situation on the East Coast. And we're trying to figure out what's going on with the world. And
oh man,
it's been a crazy first couple of weeks of 2025, and I think it's only going to get crazier. And I'm indoors, I'm warm, and I've got food and cable and Wi-Fi. I mean, what else could I want?
Yeah, I know. Nothing at all. Oh my gosh, guys, you are not seeing things. Christi has not changed the way she looks. We have David J. Fielding in the house with us today. Oh my gosh, we are so excited he has joined us. Hey. Christi is not here. She couldn't come in today, but David was kind enough to fill in for her. David, how are you?
I'm good.
So good. How have you been?
That intro music is a bop, I'll tell you. It's
yes.
Really
the bop has a bop playing. Quite literally.
I'm good. I'm plugging along, surviving, doing the best we can. So
yes. I think that's all of us. Like
we
literally
have a little snow down here too, but I mean it's pretty much all melted now. But
yeah.
Where are you?
I am in a small town northeast of Dallas called Paris, Texas. That's where I'm at.
Okay.
Yeah, right outside of
you
Dallas.
got a little dusting.
Well, it was, I want to say it was a good 4 or 5 inches, but I mean, it's because the temperatures rise, it goes away fairly quickly. So
yeah. Texas never has any kind of snow that's going to stay. It's like not even possible. But you're right, Hilton. This year, 2025 it has not been so far. I'm not liking it. I'm not liking it at all. As you guys know, we have fires in LA that are just raging. It has been horrific for people. And I just want to send our love. I mean, I know so many people that have been affected by them. And I just want to send my love. It's one of those things. I can't imagine getting a notice and saying, need to leave your house, and literally everything is gone, and your neighbors, the whole neighborhood is gone. Like I can't even imagine, but that is happening right now. And like you said, it's like all of these weather things. Like I had to go to a con this weekend, and all the hubs, like it was in a smaller town in South Carolina, but all the hubs are Atlanta, Washington, D.C., Dallas. Those were the choices of where I had to stop in order to get to this town. And all of them were snowed in. So Friday, my trip that would have been like 5 or 6 hours with the layover, like easy trip, turned into a 16-hour day of just being trapped at an airport. And I just I thank God that I have it in me to just let it go. I'm just going to sit here. I'm just going to go have lunch. I'm just going to not be, because there's nothing we can do. I literally was if we make it, we make it. If we don't, we don't. And
I keep the app, whatever I'm flying, I keep that app because the app will tell me I don't have to go running around.
Yeah.
Click a button as soon as something opens up. And
it's right there. Yeah. And then when I got to the con, I got 2 of my 3 bags. So one of the con bags, I had half of my merch. So it was just a trying weekend, but the show was amazing. It was in Central South Carolina Comic-Con, and it was it was really probably the best thing I could have done because I needed the distraction. Here in LA, it is just, everything is news coverage of the fires pretty much, but it needs to be, because it's it could change in a heartbeat. And so it's one of those things where I'm it was just good to escape it for a second, even for a couple days. And not, obviously my husband was here, but he's a little bit more calm about everything, but I was telling people, because I almost was maybe we shouldn't do a show. And so many people were no, we need the distraction. We need to have some fun. We want to just get online and not see pictures of horrible snowstorms and horrible fires. We want to see fun conversations. So today we're going to have some fun, and hopefully we can be a distraction for a lot of people, and you guys can just decompress from this crazy 2025. I want a refund already. This is not what I signed up for. I said, I need to check the terms and conditions, and so far they are not matching up. No bueno.
You're stuck with it.
Oh,
The refunds and returns desk is closed.
I know.
Gotta
It's
ride it out.
I know. You guys know how I've been feeling about everything that's coming up. We've got some big things that are coming up politically, and I'm not even going to bring that. I don't even want to talk about that because that just instantly angers me. But
well, it's like, I've seen images of like, the McDonald's sign with the fire all around it.
yeah,
And, the only thing I can think of is that Wayans brother meme where he's like, message. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Yeah, we get it. We get the metaphor.
yeah. It's insane. It's insane here. But what I will say is it's very beautiful to see a whole city come together and a whole city, just help. And people are donating, volunteering. I'd sent a text to some friends and was like, hey, where y'all volunteering this week? And they're like, we're here. So I'm going to meet some people later and make some donations, make some volunteer at some places. And yeah, so it's one of those things. One of those things. I think, one of the things that I haven't liked is this narrative of that everyone in LA is rich. Like, I don't know why people think that. Like, literally, that's a 5% of the city is in that tax bracket. The rest of us are hustling. Like, everybody's hustling to make it. So, people that have lost their house, it's been rich, poor, and everything in between. So there are a lot of people that are hurting, and we just send you our love. But today I was so excited because David was here, and I literally put this in the message. I said, David's a big nerd like us, so he can get real nerdy. He can talk about anything.
Well, as bad as 2025, has started out, I mean, we do have some great stuff coming up. I mean, we've got the new Captain America movie coming out. We've got the Thunderbolts, which I'm super excited about.
Yes. There's
Fantastic
a lot of cool
Four
stuff.
And Superman. I mean, it's going to be a good year for nerddom today.
Yes. Speaking of Superman, like, we were all like on pins and needles because DC has kind of been like, but when we knew it was being taken over, and I loved Guardians, I've loved all of those movies, so I was like, if anybody can turn DC around, it's him. And that trailer was everything. It was sentimental.
Yes.
It was hopeful. It was love. It was like,
that slow motion shot of him putting himself around the girl to protect her from all of the slow motion stuff. I'm like, that is an amazing Superman shot. That is fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes. And they managed to get some of the original John Williams music score into it, but with the electric guitar, which I thought was really interesting. And if you're listening for it, you're like, okay, how do they do this? How do they create their own lane sonically, but at the same time pay homage to the emotion that is at the core of anyone born after 1974? Right. It's just in there. And, there was controversy about the suit, which I think is now gone. Yeah. There was controversy about the casting, which I think is now gone. I think there was some controversy around, even like the universe in which he exists. They are rewriting the universe in which this Superman exists, because Crypto is there. No spoiler. That's in the trailer.
It's in the trailer.
You saw some of the robots that tend to his Fortress of Solitude, which is part of a different universe, and they're telling a more classic, hopeful. I don't want to say pure, but it's less of a dark Snyder cut universe that they're going. And I always said this about DC. DC is about gods and monsters, or it's the Super Friends. There is no in between. You're either Constantine, Swamp Thing, Solomon Grundy, these horrifying, scary creatures, or it's the Super Friends, where it's like form of a buck of water. It's that kind of a thing. And I think that they are finding a way to put, at least from the trailer, they've put a significant amount of weight to this movie. This looks like this plot and what is happening between the characters has impact. This is not an origin story. They're going to just let us know he exists and pick up where he left off.
Yeah, which is great. We've had a million of those.
It's got the bright colors. You even see the quirky portrayal of Clark Kent. Because we always have to remind ourselves he's the only superhero who is the hero.
Yes.
Clark Kent is his alter ego. Like that's who he pretends to be. And as if you watch Pulp Fiction, not Pulp Fiction, Kill Bill, you heard the soliloquy about how that is his commentary on humanity. And he's a little weird and he's quirky and he's kind of awkward. And you look at him and you go, I could see how people wouldn't think those are the same guy just from the trailer. I can totally see it.
They did it. Like James Gunn, bravo. Like even I think it was like 2 minutes. 2 minutes. And like that scene you mentioned, David, that was my favorite scene where he's covering that person. But I also love the scene where he's walking through the crowd and they're like, and they're hating him. And so the stakes are high. The loss is big. And he is just trying to do his best. And you know how society is. So your best isn't good enough. It's almost like you have to go through so much for people to love you. Yeah.
They cannot wait for you to fail. And everything. And I mean, I got real Silver Age vibes from it as far as like what you're talking about, as far as like the color palette and the brightness of it. And again, using the phrase gods and monsters when you're talking about DC, because for me, and we get to see like the Justice League, right? There are some members of the Justice League in the trailer, and those heroes have always been the guys who are up on Olympus, right? They're the new gods or whatever. The Marvel side of thing has always been more, street level, in the mix kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, for me, it just looks like, okay, let's have some fun. Let's have a good time with it. And
we got a glimpse of Mr. Terrific and Guy Gardner. I mean, it was really cool.
Yes.
It was real, like it was all the little.
Because I'm a fan. I recognized everybody in the trailer. I didn't need to go to the YouTube video to know who was there, or even in some cases what was happening.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there like, okay, they're doing it. They're just going to throw this at the screen, and I'm hoping that James Gunn's approach will not be like the Russo brothers or, the way Kevin Feige started the Marvel Cinematic Universe in 2011. I'm hoping that, they're going to embrace, and I think this is what tore them up in all the iterations before this, is that they couldn't decide what they wanted to do and what kind of world they wanted to build.
Right. It was all over the place.
Deep, dark, horrible, scary, place, or it was going to be this funny, quirky, and then that just played out with all the characters. And I think what he's going to do is he's going to put all of these characters on the screen. And I am hoping that, and this is the truth, because DC has always done better animated properties than live action.
Right.
That if you look at Justice League Unlimited as the template for just the way the characters interact with the world around them, each other, the way, the Justice League actually is positioned against society and all those tensions, et cetera, et cetera. I'm hoping that that's the world we're going to get, because it would force them to kind of follow that animated template and give us what we want, and, and distinguish themselves from Marvel, which is what they were trying not to do. They were trying to, imitate them at every turn. And it was like, why are you doing this?
Right. Like they're doing it, and they're doing it so well. You got to figure out your own lane. And you're right. It just feels new. And like James Gunn, I mean, obviously Crypto I think he's our new Groot. I think he's our new, he's our new baby Yoda. Like we are going to love this dog. Like we're going to buy stuffed animals. We're going to oh man, I'm shocked. I am shocked, but I knew if anyone could do it, James Gunn is the storyteller, that he brings so much heart. I was never it's funny because I was never a Guardians fan. Like I was just like, I liked the movie. It was funny. The first one, it caught me by surprise. But as it went on and on, it was like, I love them. And I was literally so emotional on the last one. Like I was just like, what is happening?
If you didn't shed tears in Guardians 3, there's,
yeah, like
you're a therapist waiting for you outside.
Yeah, if you were not moved by Rocket and knowing that Rocket, it was always about Rocket, like you're dead inside. Like I don't know there's no help for you. There's nothing. We can't save you. But yeah, so I'm super excited. I am beyond. But like you mentioned, Thunderbolts, that's another one. The trailer came out. We hadn't had time to even talk about it. Oh, that got me excited too. It got me very excited.
Oh, I'm gonna I have such a crush.
You're not excited?
No, I'm
Oh,
very
he's got a crush.
I have a crush on.
Who is your crush? Who is your crush?
Well, you take a guess. You tell me who you think my crush is.
Black Widow?
Yelena?
Or Ava Starr? Oh, Yelena. Yeah, Yelena. Yeah, Black Widow. Yeah, Yelena.
Everyone does. Everyone does. She's
yeah,
gorgeous.
Right? I have a crush, and I don't even do that.
Tough. It's like,
It's become a tradition for me as we get into like the end of every year. When we get into like the Halloween season, I'll rewatch the Werewolf by Night
Hawkeye.
special. And when we get closer to Christmas, I'll watch the Hawkeye series because specifically for Haley Steinfeld and for Florence Pugh, the dynamic of Kate Bishop and Yelena was so awesome. I'm like, oh, give those girls a series and just let them go on the road together.
Let them go.
Have adventures and just do things. And so, yeah. And I was really happy with, they have like that 5 or 6 minute extended Thunderbolts trailer where you get to see a lot of the stuff. And it's really sort of like putting Yelena at the forefront of this group. And I just, her attitude and her line readings and that smirk that she gives to Louise Dreyfus.
And she sounds like she's from Russia.
Yeah.
Just my bone I had with Scarlett for years. Her and Wanda, like their accents went away at some point.
David Harbour is the
David
he's
Harbour.
so good as the Red Guardian. It's just perfect.
You already know how I feel about Stranger Things, and for David Harbour, I mean that's the thing. Like that was the good thing that came out of the Black Widow movie. Like the movie wasn't the greatest movie, but I recently saw it again, and it was Yelena and David Harbour. I mean, it was those two who just like that's all I needed from that movie. I just needed to know that those characters were coming and something else, and we needed to introduce them in this way, and it was sad because I love Scarlett in all of the Avenger movies, and I loved her in the Iron Man movies, and I wanted her movie to be what it should be, but it kind of fell short for me. But I was happy that they're in it, and so they saved it. Like they literally saved that movie.
Yes, good acting always saves a movie, despite the plot, despite even bad special effects, and some movies that are freestanding in the Marvel storyline or universe for no reason and all that. But it did introduce these characters, and I'm glad that we're getting to see them again because they are entertaining and they do have a story to tell, and they do have a function. Obviously, I think in Phase 5, and we can almost see it. The thing I'm most excited about is that on one hand we're getting this Suicide Squad vibe, from the way this is being introduced, until they introduce the Sentry, who is a Marvel version of Superman, except he's not from another planet. He's being created here through an amalgam of various super soldier experiments, and he is freakishly powerful. I mean, and probably more powerful than I think we may have seen on the Marvel screen thus far. So I'm wondering how they're going to juxtapose this Defenders level, ragtag group of mid-level power people who have a mission to accomplish. And then he somehow becomes the mission because he has the power to destroy the world. And we don't know if he's going to be good or if he's going to be bad or what he's going to do. But, he's going to be in there. And I think they've downplayed that well enough in the trailers to not have that at the forefront of everyone. Right.
So when we are surprised, when they throw that twist at us, we're going to be like, in the theater. Yes.
Well, I mean, that sort of leads into, because you were mentioning about missing Scarlett and her performances and stuff. But again, because it's a comic book universe, and we've already gotten so used to the multiverse and stuff, and we have Robert Downey Jr. coming back, and they announced that Chris Evans is coming back. So there's always, the door is always open for these guys.
My thought exactly, Hilton.
So
I was excited. Like that was the only thing that's kind of made me go, "Come on, Marvel!" Like it's almost like they're giving into the bullying of the online trolls that are like, where are you gonna go now?" And it's like, I was so excited. They were sticking to, this, like the Thunderbolts are all these newer characters that, the only one that's like Bucky is the only one that we know really well. All the other ones have been, very supporting characters in other movies. Bucky and Yelena probably are the ones. But it's like, I was so excited that we're seeing these people have these redemption arcs, and we're seeing these movies where they're not like your traditional, Captain America perfect hero. These are people who've done bad things and now they're trying to do better in their life. And it's like these bad things haunt them. And I was like, oh, so yeah, when we got I love me some Christopher Jamal Evans. Y'all know I love him. There's a deeper love, but I don't want him back. I love what they did when he popped up in Deadpool and Wolverine. Like we were so thrown off, but I don't know. But this is, again, the Russo brothers always make me believe. Like, even when I don't want to believe, they make me believe. They're, again, another group of really good storytellers. The stakes are high. The tragedy is horrific. Infinity War and Endgame are two of my top favorite movies, and they were at the heart of all of that. So I'm very interested.
Yeah, I don't like the move. I don't like the decision, but I'm 99% sure I'm going to like the movie. Yeah. Because the Russo brothers have had such a great track record of just working with these characters in this universe. But at the same time, I think that they went in and kind of gave more clout to the bullies and the online community than I think they should have. Yeah. I think they should have stuck with, this is just my personal opinion, I think they should have stuck with Jonathan Majors as Kang, even if they pulled back, even if they made some rewrites and some direction changes, but just to have him vanish after all that buildup is still awkward. Yeah. I think Robert Downey Jr. is going to do a great job because he does a great job with everything. He's a fantastic actor.
He's an Oscar-nominated actor for a reason. Yeah.
Well, based on the dollar amount that they said they were going to pay him, and I'm like, he's going to be in the movie for all of 19 minutes. I'm like, that's a big paycheck for a small amount of screen time.
How do you know that it's 19 minutes that he's going to only be in that movie?
I forget where I saw that, but they had, I think they had like some sort of breakdown or whatever, and I was like, I don't know where they came up with the information, but I read that. Right. And I was going, wow, that is a big paycheck for that little amount of screen time.
Can I borrow $5, please?
I mean, listen, if he's in the armor, it'll be very much just like in the other movies. He's not in the armor. It's a CGI. He's doing voice, acting, whenever the armor is on, which after, his own original series.
Will we get the Doom HUD? Like we had the Iron Man HUD. Will we get that?
Right.
Yeah. It's like, okay. Right. What are we going to see? Now, there is a comic book story, and we talked about this before.
Yes.
Where you do have a Tony Stark, Iron Man, Doom. There's only one storyline in the Marvel comic book universe for this, and I would be very shocked if they deviated from it. I hope they deviate from it enough to surprise comic fans and to tell, but not enough to jeopardize telling a good story. Right. But like I said, I don't like the decision, but I know that I'm going to like the movie, and this statement I'm making will not age well. But for now, I'm like we could have there could be like literally anybody playing Doom. I could name. We want
to eat our words. Like I want to be,
But if you're gonna do it, I better eat my damn words and popcorn and see this movie 3 times in the theater and be like, okay.
Well, I am counting down the days, like counting down to Ironheart. Ironheart is gonna be everything, and it's on Disney Plus, so it's not like we're just gonna get one movie. We're gonna get a full-on series. That's one of the ones that I'm just like, I can't wait. I can't wait. But yeah, like we've got, like you said, David, we have a lot of really cool geek stuff that's coming out in 2025 that hopefully will distract us from the real life tragedies.
I was gonna say,
and I'm really hoping they come out of the gate with a big swing. I think Brave New World could be really, really a good film. I mean, and again, you brought up the Russo brothers, and everything I've read and everything I've heard, Brave New World is supposed to have that Winter Soldier vibe, that sort of political thriller kind of thing going on. And
I love that because it's so like it's so close to like what is happening in real life. Like, you know, there's
Yes.
a darkness and there's a
Oh,
shadow, you
if
know.
the president turns into a monster. Yeah. So yeah.
I know. And I'm really excited to see Sam as a full-on Captain America. Not like in the, you know, one of my favorite series off of it was, you know, Captain America and in the Winter Soldier. I mean, not in the Winter Soldier.
That's right.
The series, it wasn't Captain America. It was
Captain America and the Winter Soldier. Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Just,
oh, that's what. Okay, yeah, that on Disney Plus was literally so good and so real, and that political undertone had to be there. Like, there's no way you can make Captain America black and there not be some kind of.
I just love the fact that his wings are Wakandan. It's vibranium and stuff, and I'm like,
yeah.
Yes,
Wakanda be delivering on the tools, right? They were delivering on the suits.
Yeah, well, it's supposed to play somehow into the movie now that you've seen some of the story leaks. And what I'm actually interested in is that we've already seen the Red Hulk, right?
Yes.
And on the draft, maybe 2 years ago, we would think that would be the thing that they would hold back until the actual movie. That leads me to believe that there's another shoe to drop.
There's something
else. Another villain or another, you know, antagonist somewhere off screen that they have not let on, and we're getting these clips of stuff that.
Yeah, we haven't seen a good shot of the leader yet. We haven't seen a really good shot of Sidewinder yet.
Yeah,
I mean, you know, so there's stuff.
I told you, David's geek. He's a down and dirty geek. Like
it's gonna happen, and I like that. I think when we went in to see the Winter Soldier, you know, Captain America: The Winter Soldier, nobody really knew what to expect. It was like we were at that level with Marvel movies where you just go see it open a weekend. We don't even care what it is, right?
Yeah.
Just get your ass in a car and go get to the theater, and we're gonna watch.
Literally one of my favorites.
We got this amazing spy suspense political geopolitical thriller that just holds up as one of the top 2 or 3 Marvel movies, you know, to date. And my thing is that if we're going to get some of that, I think that that's the formula. They're going to hold back on some storytelling that I think will probably lead. Well, as I'm 100% sure it's going to lead and tie into the Thunderbolts, because Thunderbolt Ross is the Red Hulk. And notice that Thunderbolts has an asterisk in the title.
Yeah.
And it has been theorized that they are not going to. They're going to start the movie as the Thunderbolts, but by the end of the movie, they will be renamed something else, because something's going to happen to Thunderbolt Ross, which will take him out of command of that program. Right. And they'll either be the Dark Avengers or something else, but there's another shoe to drop in this that we don't see right now.
Together when this comes out, like how are we going to synchronize our watches? I don't know what.
They're like in 3 completely separate time zones. Right?
Yeah,
you got to figure out.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so the Captain America: Brave New World is in February, and then we don't get Thunderbolts. I don't think we don't get that. God, when do we get that? It says in May. We get that in May. So we've got a little time in between, but it's gonna be good, guys. I think we're gonna talk about those movies. I feel for months and months and months. Like we can't. Hopefully,
you touched on it, Karen. You said it right. I think that, you know, I mean, we won't say his name here, but you know, during a certain administration where things were really, really going left, right, and crazy, and we really didn't know who we were or what we were doing, we escaped into these movies in a way that I don't think happened in the 4 years after or prior.
Right.
And we found this safe space in these movie scenarios. And I think that, for better or for worse, I wish that were not the case. I think some of that is going to play out with the media that's going to be coming out now. I mean, and the fact that it's just queued up for 2025 on both DC and Marvel side, I think is huge. I think it's very telling as to what we can expect. Like, people are literally going to be like, I just need to forget where I am right now.
That part.
For 2 hours. Coke and some popcorn and a giant screen yelling at me. And I think we're going to see a lot of these movies be very successful, which means we're going to get more and better stuff down the road.
Yeah. That would be great. Well, that leads me to our main conversation for the day. Like, the reality is that we love superheroes. We absolutely love superheroes here on this show. Like, the BOP is almost like we talk about superheroes, we talk about politics, and we go back to superheroes. Like, we just can't get enough. Or we love good movies, good film, good TV series.
Good stories.
But superhero, yeah, huh?
Good stories.
Good stories. Yeah, because that's what we've been getting. We've been getting great stories. So this is what I'm going to say, because I know we've got like, you don't have one favorite. Nobody has one favorite. We all have a hero or two that we like. But I want us to play a game to where if you could only pick one, who is it that you're going to, like, if you're going to say, this is the best Marvel hero that we've gotten so far. This is the best one, and we all have to pick one. And I know, like, I'm probably gonna like the same ones you like, so I'm purposely gonna pick another one.
Just to clarify, are you talking about the portrayal of the superhero, or the superhero themselves?
I'm talking about their character arc. Who do you feel has made the biggest impact on either the Marvel universe or the DC universe? Who do you feel has made the biggest impact with the fandom? Like, if you had to be a lawyer and you had to defend them as like, they hands down are number one. And we're all going to love, and so of course, after each person declares who they think, we'll break it down and see where we all land. But I'm going to let Hilton go first, because like, out of all of them, who have you enjoyed the most?
So I get torn in my internal evaluation, because there's impact and then there's my personal taste.
Exactly.
And so I'm going to go with impact, because I'm going to look at the people or the characters that laid the greatest and strongest foundation that allowed for other stories and other characters to be great, even though, even if they weren't in the same film. And it has to be Tom Hiddleston's Loki.
Interesting choice.
As a thread that runs from the very first, Marvel Universe movie, and someone who has had, you want to talk about a developmental arc. You got to remember,
yes,
who Loki was.
I didn't even think you would say that.
And then having this introspection through his own series with the TVA and Jumping Time, and ostensibly over the course of many films, from Ragnarok and Dark World, you name it, he's just evolved. He's constantly evolving while maintaining his core. And I love the fact that Tom Hiddleston actually auditioned for Thor. And we've seen the film.
What?
And in the light of the fact that he is now in our psyche, Loki, watching it is hilarious, because you're just like, are you fucking kidding me?
Right, he could never been Thor.
At the time, you're like, okay, we didn't know what Thor would look like and all this. Right. He's a great actor. But without him, and my close second was obviously going to be Thanos, and the portrayal of him. But the reason why
you're blowing my mind right now.
The reason why I'm not doing Thanos is because they didn't start him off well.
No, they didn't.
Thanos didn't really, at the end of Avengers, when he turns, as it
was weird.
Right.
It was like a cartoon.
Nobody only us comic book heads knew who he was.
Nobody was scared.
People were like, was that Hellboy? Like, So, and then, he had his little cameos in the post-credit scenes where his face was different and his approach was different. And, we thought after this movie, we're going to get a big Thanos show off, and we didn't get it. But by the time we got it, he was straight. Josh Brolin did a great job bringing him to life. The CGI and everything helped bring him to life. But Loki, just even from his first movie in Thor 1 to today, like him being a character that is currently existing in the Marvel Cinematic Universe today, he has been, and I'm saying this, and I'm forgetting that I'm actually saying this literally. He's actually tied the timelines together. Like he's literally doing that now.
Yeah.
As the master, as the god of stories. But that's earned. He earned that. We could not have an Avengers movie without a Loki.
Yeah.
Right.
Thor was before Ragnarok. We got to remember, Thor was like watching literally Shakespeare in the
it was like, what are we watching?
And that's great on the page. The Simonson era of Thor makes that a great read. But on the screen, it's like, okay, he's the guy I got to get by to tell the story, but I'm not really that interested in his life.
Yeah. And you know what's
Loki
funny
made
is
everything interesting.
I love how they make fun of that now in all the Thor movies where they have this like this Shakespearean play at some point, and it's like his brother, like it's like
Taika Waititi allowed us to make fun
yes.
of the Thor that we held on to and did not want to
Mhm.
let go. And now, even though people are like, "Oh, I'm so sick of his stuff," well, no, he has touched that character in such a way that he will never be the same.
Yeah.
And
Thor really came like Thor also had a lot of heart. Like he had a lot of growth. He
but
wasn't
he
just a
couldn't have
god.
done any of
Yeah.
that without
Without
the proper
Loki.
villain, without Loki. This
That
whole
sibling
thing
rivalry.
falls apart.
That is
That's
so interesting that you out of everybody, you picked Loki. I'm
Not
like
all,
my brain was like
we wouldn't have made it to the Avengers without it. I mean, you think about
right.
without him, or just assume they had
He's the
someone who's just a
reason.
placeholder. We would have
Right.
never. I mean, we might have had an Avengers movie, but it would have been a movie that people would be torn on. Like, yeah, it was
Yeah.
okay.
Well,
But,
it totally bumps all my thoughts because mine was Iron Man. And it was like he was the one for me that, I mean, obviously got the Marvel Universe started and it went to like a whole nother level of movies and stuff. But it was him who had that vision. And he was like, I saw New York before New York happened. And he was haunted by it. Like it was like, here's this egotistical man who can create and do. He's so smart. He's like beyond. But those aliens, he was like, we are not ready for this. And so that theme started in I think Iron Man 3, or it started in Avengers and then it went to Iron Man 3 and then it carried on through all of these other things that were happening. Yeah, Age of Ultron, and where he was trying to create vision. They were trying to create like literally he spent 5 movies trying to create an answer to what was gonna come in that vision that he had that Wanda, did to him. And for him to be the one that fell on the, died on the sword. Like, everyone always questioned whether or not he would, give it all away if it meant saving the team. And he did, with no question. And I remember seeing, where they were like, there's only one way. And, and it was like, because we were like, why is, what's his name, giving away the stone? Like, wow, like I was screaming in Infinity War. And but the Loki thing totally sends my thing all off on its head. Because you're thinking about it in a whole different way. But that's what I love about these discussions. David, I'm coming to you. I've picked Iron Man. He's picked Loki. Who are you? Who was your thought? What was your thought?
Well, I think Hilton is spot on as far as like who's the character that has had the most complete and most sort of impactful arc, and that was Loki. It's just amazing. But I'm gonna have to go with Matt Murdock, Daredevil, because
what?
Because
I told you he's a nerd.
We get the long form storytelling with the movies. So
yes.
We get the complete 2-hour experience. The Matt Murdock Netflix Daredevil show really sort of opened the door, and along with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I'm going with Daredevil because it's a lot more grounded, I think. And we get to see the story over multiple episodes, multiple seasons, that really gets at the heart of, again, somebody who isn't super powered, but who refuses to lay down, who just continues to get up and, to fight the good fight. And to go from the guy who just wears the black sweatsuit with the mask to finally seeing him in the full-fledged Red Devil costume. Again, that arc of him, going up against time and again with the Kingpin, I think that really sort of opens the door to where we're going with stuff like the Thunderbolts, where you get these sort of street level heroes that are doing what they need to do in order to get the right thing done. And that led to all of the Disney Plus TV shows, the Hawkeye, the She-Hulk, all of that stuff. And so it gave us Luke Cage, Power Man, and I love that series, and Jessica Jones as well, and So yeah, I'm gonna go with Matt Murdock for mine. So
that is really interesting because, as you're explaining it, I'm getting it because,
Yeah, me too.
the investment that Disney Plus made in the series, that MCEU, if you will, probably would not have had the emphasis or the weight or the surety of its fit and its purpose in the larger picture if this Netflix series weren't so successful.
Right,
It's
because
the Netflix
Netflix
series that let
allowed
them
them.
know.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
tend to go PG-13, maybe close to an an R with that stuff in the Netflix though, and so that sort of like was I guess the blueprint for this is how you do an adult version of this kind of stuff. So
Right, which probably opened the door to like all the Infinity War stuff. Like that was a more adult version or adult approach to like, even like you said, Civil War. All of those movies were more grittier than we'd gotten prior to.
Yeah.
That you guys threw me for a loop.
I mean, no, it's funny because, I was in love with that series. And the thing that let me know that they were doing that series right is that you had a character who, just like you said, he has abilities, but not like superpowers.
Mm-hmm.
And he's existing ostensibly in the same Marvel universe. And they threw hints at this throughout the series, about the fall of New York and all this other stuff. But we never wanted them to go away from the story. Like I wanted Luke Cage to hang out in the back of that barbershop and I wanted Matt Murdock to go back to court, in his civvies and fight this case. And, I never was like, hey, can we get a glimpse of the Stark Tower or any of that stuff? Like I never wanted to leave that universe
because
or that space.
Yeah, Matt and Foggy and those are people you meet on the street. They brush by you every day, and that's what's really cool about it. And they did such a great job casting wise. I mean, John Bernthal as the Punisher was like the best version of the Punisher that we've had, and
there's been some good ones too, and that's
D'Onofrio.
A lot.
Yeah, Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin.
Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin is ridiculous.
You could not. I've seen that character played well, but I just when he came on and gave us that iteration of Wilson Fisk, I was just like, whoa, that's him. And they could never do another. As long as Vincent D'Onofrio is alive, he has to be cast as Kingpin.
Yeah,
anytime
period.
Marvel goes to Kingpin, I don't want to see anybody else play that character.
And he's one of the reasons why I love the Hawkeye series, because they talk about him before he ever shows up. And you see Hawkeye and his wife talking about, I don't know, if the big guy gets involved, this could get really messy. And, who's the big guy?
We get him in that other series. What was the other series?
Echo.
We got him in Echo. And we were just like, whoa. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. That Hawkeye was like the sleeper cell. Like that series was so good on so many levels. And it was like giving us nuggets for like 5 different things that's happening right now. And oh, wow. Well, funny enough, Vincent D'Onofrio had basically said that the Daredevil Born Again trailer was supposed to be released, but they didn't release it because of the fires, the LA fires. Like they've held it off. So we would have gotten that, this last week or so. But wow, you guys threw me for a loop. That's what I love, because it's not the obvious choice. Like I think I picked the obvious choice, but you guys picked the like if you really get into the series and you really get into the stories and you get into the comic canon.
Well, you started it by saying, who's had the most impact.
Yeah.
And that's started me thinking about, okay, well, it's not just their arc, but how has it sort of branched out and touched all the other aspects of this universe or whatever. So
yeah.
And I'm all about the street level guys. So
I think because you do have these stories where Hollywood ostensibly wants everything to be the Michael Bay effect of just everything blowing up and huge robots and mechs. They want just that's what they're looking for, and they think that sells tickets.
Yeah.
Whereas you actually have, when you have character driven stories being told and deliberate world building that's not so far and not so different from the world that people live in every day.
Yeah.
You can connect better even when you're doing something that involves aliens from outer space coming to New York. You're like, okay, at least they're attacking a New York that I understand,
Right.
and that this is affecting people's lives in a way that I can understand. And to your point about Iron Man and Robert Downey Jr., from an impact perspective, it's very notable that he started this off. If Iron Man 1 was a flop, there wouldn't be an MCU. It just, the fact that they chose to go with him as a character who is not type. Like if you read the comic books, Iron Man is pretty boring. He doesn't have snappy
he
come
wasn't
lines.
The flamboyant philanthropist playboy.
No, he was molded. He was molded out of a mixture of Howard Hughes and maybe a little bit of Hugh Hefner, and but he wasn't an entertaining character to watch. You know what I'm saying? And to read, he was everywhere and nowhere at the same time. So to pick someone who is the opposite of that, Robert Downey Jr., who is like one of the quickest witted, funniest, actors you'll ever find, even going back to Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield. He was in there making impact and being funny. It makes a difference to cast as a brave move back then. And they did it. But then after 1 and even 2, if you want to throw that out there, he was present, but once the world got going, he just kind of had to show up and be there. And then the story would be about somebody else.
Yeah.
The Avengers was about Loki, and the team coming together was its own character, but they had to come together around Loki, and he played his part and he was there, but, and he was the first, but everybody else, just pales in comparison when you have somebody that's tying in all of this stuff. Now, here's my question. I'm wondering how Loki is going to tie in to, this world going forward, because I don't hear anybody talking about that. And I know he's not going anywhere. Yeah,
because he's literally holding the timeline together. He's sitting in that chair.
Multiple timelines. I heard multiple times.
All of them. He's like this.
And I heard a rumor that they were talking to Jonathan Majors about coming back at least long enough to kill him off as Kang. Yeah, and I'm like, that would have been more ceremonious, if he had actually given them some kind of a battle where he could die, other than have a walk off screen and never be
I do love the fact that,
act like that didn't happen. Just act like that didn't happen, guys. Just wipe that. Just like they tried to
like the little sister from Family Ties.
Yeah,
she went upstairs season
and never came back.
And never came back down.
Like, damn. that was the hardest write-off we've ever seen in television history.
I do like how the individual Iron Man movies are sort of like Tony creates a problem that he then has to solve.
Right. He was his own worst enemy.
Like, he was. Yeah.
That ego, his ego, literally, he always rubbed everybody the wrong way. And that ego just, and so that was why I loved him so much. Was because at the end of it, that ego was not, it was really hard. That ego was almost like his shield. It was almost a shield that he had created for himself. If Captain America had his shield, Tony had his of the ego and pretending to not give a shit, Okay, so now that we've had all three, my mind is blown. You can take mine off the table. How do you guys feel about the other two? Like, what do you feel about Hilton? What do you feel about David's choice? And then David, what do you feel about Hilton's choice?
No, I think he's right on. Now, I wouldn't say that Matt Murdock has had the breadth of impact, but where the series and the character of Daredevil has had impact is twofold. I don't think that the Marvel universe can tell its story without the television series. And I think Disney Plus understands that now. And they are going out of their way to acquire and incorporate more of these street level stories, because that's where everything connects, right?
Yeah.
And these stories should be able to be told, because Marvel had amazing street level stories. Again, when I say that DC was about gods and monsters, it was literally about gods and monsters. There wasn't a lot. I mean, Batman in the early years was doing street level mob stuff, but once he went into space, and enjoying the Justice League. Like he wasn't really
the,
doing, you know.
Yeah, I think the Teen Titans were kind of like more of that street level stuff. They still had people, but
they're like a B
Titans,
team, like
right. They didn't get the
push.
Justice
League is on Mars doing so and so, so we got the call to go see who's knocking over these candy stores, and we're going to argue like adolescents all the way through this comic.
Well, once DC, took the Hall of Justice out of the cartoons and put it up in space where they have like a big floating satellite, that's where the DC heroes are sitting. I'm like, okay,
basically,
they're over the world, and that's like a big, huge metaphor, right? It's like they're higher up than everybody. So
But
so how do you guys?
Davis was right on that. No, I was just going to say that the ground level story was one of the signature or iconic things about Marvel, is that they were telling stories a la Spider-Man, who had superpowers but still was just a normal kid trying to
neighborhood Spider-Man.
The ground level was always great.
I've seen like some stuff about the next Spider-Man movie, and it's supposed to be tied into the multiverse. I'm like, no, just give Peter his street level stuff for a while.
Yes.
Give us that. And I mean,
that was the best line he gave when he told Iron Man. He was like, if I don't come with you, I think it was in Infinity War, he goes, there won't be a neighborhood to save.
Right.
Like the neighborhood Spider-Man, everything that I am is gone if I don't, make this sacrifice. So
Miles Morales is filling that gap right now. Even though his story has taken him through the Spider-Verse, it still managed to have that ground level. Like even though he's in a different universe, he's still saving people on street level, from buses and stuff falling, and the stuff that he normally does. So we get that ground level, through that Spider-Man. But I'm with you. I like the neighborhood Spider-Man stories being told. I wonder
if that's what they're going to do with the new cartoon, because I've seen the trailer for the new cartoon, and again, it has some of that street level stuff of him stopping a bus or whatever. So maybe that'll be the function for that. But the other reason that I picked Matt is because he's shown up in different projects. He's he
was in Spider-Man. He was in Echo. He's been in
Echo. He was in She-Hulk.
She-Hulk.
Yeah.
Even though he didn't do anything in She-Hulk except get laid, I feel like he was just there to service our main character and disappear.
He didn't even the streets. That's one of my favorite scenes. We get to see Matt Murdock doing the walk of shame. He's
he straight up got with She-Hulk. That is hilarious. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh man, that is like, you guys threw me for a loop, but I love it.
I loved Hilton's choice. I thought that was great because again, Loki is a through thread through so many of the stories, and it's so good. And Tom Hiddleston was just fantastic in that part.
Yeah. Okay, so now
he can squeeze a cry out of his eye. He can squeeze a tear.
Oh,
out of his
that
eye.
is like, he is
any movie. Tom Hiddleston
actor.
He could bring it, like, and at that moment we need you to drop a tear, and he's like, got it. And you've seen it in oh my gosh, like even in Avengers he shed a tear. When his brother got to it, was like, we could stop this together. He's like, sentiment, stab, tear.
He did that in the first Thor movie when he was yelling at Odin, tell me, and it's he's him up and everything. I mean, it's like
true. Y'all making me think of things
a lot of actors
totally
can't
forgot
do
about.
that. And to see somebody at his level devoting so much of his acting capital toward what a lot of actors don't think is acting and what isn't real movie making, and making it good movie making because he's in it.
You'd mentioned something early, Hilton. You said there's obviously this choice, but there's also my personal favorite. So what are our personal favorites? Because we all got a personal favorite. Like, this is the one I love the most. Who is your personal favorite?
You cannot imagine a world where Chadwick Boseman did not play Black Panther. It's just you cannot imagine, and it's so
Shakespearean tragedy
ingrained in our minds and our hearts as to not just the fact that this guy we've seen play so many important roles leading up to this
in the Black community,
in the Black community,
historical,
and
just
cinema
world,
and historic and history, But that's the reason why we've waited this long. Even to this day, we have not recast this character.
Yeah,
because he owns it. It's like he's like the Luther Vandross of actors. Once he puts your character on, it ain't yours no more. Yeah. If he remakes your song, no one's going to remember that you made it first.
I didn't even realize. I don't know if you guys watched that. Did you watch? There's a documentary on CNN. With Luther, and I forgot that was a Carpenter's remake, and I was like, I know that Carpenter. Like, I love the Carpenters, and I had no idea that was the same song when Luther sang it.
And you probably heard both of them in different iterations and didn't even realize it was the same song.
It didn't even click.
When Luther makes your song, ain't your song no more.
Chadwick is Luther Vandross.
He's just that. He's played Jackie Robinson. He's played James Brown. He's played, he even played an African king in a very underseen movie called Message from the King. Right before he did Black Panther, he actually did that role as a way of prepping for it, which is a very, very good movie. I think it's still on Netflix.
What was that movie about the bridges? The
21 Bridges.
21 Bridges. Oh, that was so good.
Unbelievable. He's just an amazing talent, and for him to play on two screens, playing in Civil War and then in the Black Panther movie, it was just the most, I think, singularly impactful. Again, we talk about Loki as a through thread throughout the MCU, in which we talk about impact, but a singular impact in 3 movies that he played in and played this character in just was so pivotal. And the fact that he was able to play this character so minimalistically, like he wasn't over the top and doing trying to steal scenes. I mean, he's very stoic. I've had extensive conversations with, Atondo Kani, who played the younger father, King T'Chaka. We've talked many, many, many times about him on set and how he approached it and the language and everything that went into that movie. That, it's a debate that goes on to somewhere online. Someone is arguing right now that a certain actor should play Black Panther in the recast because the rumors are going that they're going to recast the character. And I feel bad for whoever gets cast as the next T'Challa because he's going to have such huge shoes to fill.
Ryan did a smart thing. Like, he basically did a smart thing in Wakanda Forever where he gave us his son. And so I'm hoping that when we get this new T'Challa, we know it's not T'Challa. We know this is he's gonna be a son, and that was that last end credit scene, that was so sentimental and so poetic and perfect, and the kid with the perfect little dimple and just like, can you keep a secret, and just saying, and for when he called it out, like, I'm son of T'Challa, I was like,
if you didn't cry at that moment,
you were dead inside.
Therapists were waiting for you outside the theater. That
was so emotional. Like, that broke me down. Like, I was already broken down from the fact that I always say Wakanda Forever was one of my most favorite movies because it literally walked us through grief. Like, none of us knew that he was sick. Nobody, not his whole cast didn't even know he was sick. And for us to have, we were excited about the future and this and that. It was probably the most exciting character that could come up, and for him to just pass away, and then from cancer. And we're like, he had cancer the whole time, whole time. And
he looked thin in Endgame, but I'm like, well, maybe he
actors
are weight for another road or role, but
we never suspected it. So it was like, I've never needed. I remember crying like he was like my brother or somebody that I personally knew. Like, I didn't even know this man, but I was bawling when he passed away, and it was during COVID, and so it was like we were just stuck and we didn't know what to do. And like, that movie walked us. That movie walked us through grief. Like, it walked us through grief. And by the end of it, we're cheering on Shuri. She's taken over a mantle she never signed up for and never wanted. And her anger and because people deal with grief in different ways. She dealt with it. She was angry. And I would have been angry too. You lose your mama, you lose your brother, you lose your daddy. Like, her whole family is gone. And
she was going up against a formidable force.
Yes. Namor was no joke. And it challenged everything, right? And so it was all on her, and to have to make the most important decision. Yeah, I mean, Chadwick that was my choice. Period. That's my personal favorite of all favorites. And like you said, it's going to be big shoes for whoever gets, who plays, King T'Challa. But hopefully they give us Prince T'Challa before we get King T'Challa.
They keep using the term recast in the rumor mill, so I don't know that we're going to see the T'Challa the second yet, because
you think Ryan Coogler would allow that? Like, we buried him. We had the most amazing funeral. Like, this is the funeral I want for myself. We celebrated him.
I think the door that they may be going through is the door that they're going to open with the Fantastic Four, because the Fantastic Four are not from our universe.
Okay.
Right.
The T'Challa that we may see
coming.
Yeah, the T'Challa that we may see coming is maybe from either their universe or a neighbor universe or something like that, because we've already established that there are multiple versions of all these characters all over the place. So
right.
And if
we've got the X-Men and all of that is coming. And
did you guys watch the third season of What If and all those stories?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
So there, I think that you're right on that, David. The introduction, and again, I don't know exactly how they're going to bridge the Universal storyline gap to take us into the Fantastic Four's world, but I do know that it is based off of the '60s version of that world in the storytelling that it was actually told in the '60s. Now, here's my thing: so we may not even be getting T'Challa. We may be getting T'Chaka, because of the timeline that they're in. So, I think what we're seeing online in these little posts, from this place and that place, are teasers. I think that this industry uses these as a way to kind of like, okay, we're going to see if there's any landmines going that way, and if it works and we get good response, we'll check it out and move forward. So when they say recast of Black Panther, you're not seeing recast of T'Challa. They're saying recasting Black Panther, so we may get a different king, at that time. Because remember, he was introduced in Fantastic Four, so this is actually kind of this might even be like T'Challa Prime. I don't know what you want to call it, but
T'Chaka,
that was his introduction.
Hate it.
Well, the Marvels teased us the X-Men, right? So
and that alternate universe. Yeah. Oh, guys, okay. So, David, we're going to end it with you. Who is your personal favorite? I think I already know this. I know this.
You know him too well.
Both of you.
Well, and the only reason I'm choosing it is because I think that there were, I think there was room for at least one other Captain America movie. I wish they had done a, and of course it's going to be Captain America because of what that character means to me. But I really wanted to see a full-length Captain America and the Howling Commandos movie. I wanted to stay a little bit longer in that period of time to see the sort of growth of just what Steve Rogers was all about, and plus it was just a fun period, and anything that happens pre-1960s is going to be fun. So that would have been my choice. Okay. Very simple. So
it was a good movie. It was really well cast. I don't think you could have found anybody to play that character better than Chris Evans.
None.
Even though he had been in 3 previous comic book movies, he lives forever as Steve Rogers.
We wiped all that out of our brains. We were like, what?
Right, exactly.
You were warming up.
Well, I think we're gonna get some of that because remember, he did go back in time and then he just stayed there. And if there is some thread of a storyline where there is a covert ops Captain America who's doing things right up until it creates a not an incursion, but a split in the timeline, where the TVA would have came and got him, but he's just kind of moving real quietly through history up until we see him hand the shield over to Sam in Endgame. There is a story to be told there. And, if Chris Evans
what was he doing all this time outside of falling in love?
he was gone. He disappeared for like 70 years. So it's like, okay, what did you do during that time? I know you didn't just go work in the mill.
Never.
You had something going on, especially if Peggy Carter was your wife and she was still in SHIELD and all of that, and the fact that you made it through to the present day without creating a divergent timeline means that you had to be cognizant of what you were doing and every step you took. So I think there's some stories to be told there that would be right alongside what David's talking about.
Right.
Because I feel like the movie, The First Avenger, did a really good job of fleshing out the Howling Commandos, like the cast, you know, especially Dum Dum Dugan. Like, you know, that's a hard character to put like a young body in, and they did it. And I was like, when I saw that cast, I was like, we're going to get a lot of these guys. They're all A-listers. They're not going to just have them come and go. And then they came and went. And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
But
he's in the ice already. Damn it.
There are so many other fun characters from that period. You know, you get Captain Britain. You get the first iteration of the Human Torch. I mean, there could have been a lot of fun things to explore. But what was I going to say? You had mentioned something, and I wanted to jump on it. I hate getting old.
That's all right. That's all right. It happens to all of us that we just forget.
Well, you did mention the Human Torch, and if you go back to the old pictures in that movie, that same movie, the old Human Torch android is actually in the movie, encased in glass.
This is what I was going to say. Is that in my head canon in Civil War?
Yes.
Old Cap is one of the guys carrying Peggy's coffin, and it's the two versions of himself. He's on the other side, and Cap is in the front. I'm like,
yes,
but that's just me.
Yes. that theory was out for a while, and I was kind of everybody rewind, pause.
Yeah.
Like, no, they're not thinking that far ahead with this, but yes, I was loving that story. So yes, I'd love to see it.
You guys,
that Russo brothers.
That's one of the things I love about the Marvel universe is that they will do these sort of like visual stuffs that they know all the geeks and nerds will pick up on, like the Human Torch suit in the first Avengers. It's there, and they don't ever mention it, they don't ever focus on it, but everybody in the theater was like, oh, there it is,
it's there.
I love how they do that all the time. So
I do too. And then when it pops back up, you're like, oh my god, like it's like you forgot.
They knew all along.
Yeah. You
like
accepted the seed being planted, but then you forget the seed was planted.
Yeah. in Iron Man 2, when Agent Coulson picks up the shield and is like, what is this doing here? It's like,
do you know what this is? Like,
totally. Oh my gosh. Well, guys, this conversation was so much fun. So much fun. And I feel like we accomplished what we needed to accomplish, which was to be a distraction for all the things that are going on in life right now. We are having a very fun conversation, and we're just dreaming a little bit and looking forward to the future of our little geek hearts are exploding inside, because we're going to get some good stuff. Like, we already know, like, it is on the next level stuff that's coming this year, and 2025 is going to be, I mean, they really have poured a lot of money and a lot of time, a lot of marketing into some really big properties. And I think even after that, we need to do this. We need to have a reunion, like maybe after Thunderbolts, we'll have or even after we see the movie in February, we see Captain America. Brave New World. We need to have a reunion, the three of us, and just break it down. We'll have to watch this and just be like, because there's so much to look forward to.
Oh yes.
I can't wait. Well, guys, thank you for watching the BOP, the Blurred Official Podcast. We love you. We mean it. Bye. Tune in every Tuesday for a new episode of the BOP, the Blurred Official Podcast.